In 1993, the Florence Center was founded, and since then, it was the home to the PD Pride and the PD Cyclones. But for the last 18 years, the Florence Center has been dormant of hockey. But 4 days from now, hockey will be alive and well in the PD region again. Hello again, everyone. This is the IceCats Coaches Show, broadcasting live on YouTube and on radio on the WWFN 100.5 The Game. I'm Danny DeBock alongside the head coach for the PD IceCats, Gary Graham. Gary, great to have you along. Your hockey resume is extensive. The first time you were a head coach, you were a champion in the President's Cup for the Pensacola Ice Flyers, and since then you moved on to Fort Wayne, a couple of stops along the way, different countries, and now here you are in the PD. Gary, what emotions come to mind in a day like today, inching closer to hockey in the PD?
Very excited. Obviously, the Rex and his team have been working around the clock to get this thing set up. Obviously, we've had a bit of a challenge as a group, having to drive to Columbia every day for practice, but our guys are fully bought in. They're very excited to be down here. Management's done a great job getting some very nice apartments, housing. We're trying to really make it first class all the way here. And, we recruited a lot of the guys this summer, and I know you and I talked about this, when I was hired. You always know with the first-year team there's going to be some hiccups early on. You just got to expect it. We just got to really excel in a little bit of chaos. And it's actually been kind of fun. Like I said, I've never been a part. This is a new role for me in terms of being a head coach with a first-year team. Really getting to see kind of how the sausage is made behind the scenes on the business side of things, with the hockey ops side of things. So, there's nothing like learning new things. And even though it's been challenging, I really feel like, Nick Graham and I, Scott, you guys up in the front office, Phil, everybody's just working so hard. And then, you take it into Rex and Tony and Vince and all these guys here. Everybody's been great so far. So we're just really excited to see the fans come out Friday night, support us. And we're going to be very excited to play a very good Columbus team.
It'll be a fun night, Friday, 7:15. The game will be broadcasted live on radio on WWFN 100.5 The Game and on YouTube. We'll be with you on the IceCats Broadcast Network. But let's go into a deeper dive, Gary, about your hockey journey and how it all began. And it started after you were playing, and what led you into coaching?
Yeah, I'm one of those rare coaches. There's not a lot of us out there that have coached at a high enough level. There's still a couple in the NHL, but, I didn't play the pro hockey like the majority of coaches do. So I really had to work very hard. I had to prove a lot of people wrong at an early age. I actually got coaching at the age of 22, high school hockey. Fell in love with it right away. I'd always been in management position, I was class president in high school, business president. I was captain of the hockey team. I started my own business when I was 20 years old. I've always had this kind of thing where I wanted to lead. I just didn't know exactly what direction was going to go. I was actually going to college. I knew I wanted to stay involved in sports. I loved fitness and exercise, and I always see myself as like a strength and conditioning coach, a guy that could really mold men into being better athletes and motivate them. And so that's what I thought I was doing. And then between my junior and senior year, I realized that there was really no money in that. And those jobs are virtually impossible to get, strength coaches at D1 levels or anything like that. And I was going to be probably working with ortho physio people and doing stuff that I had no interest in. And that was when the mortgage boom was happening. And my buddy, that was a hockey player buddy of mine, he owned a mortgage company. He goes, Gary, you've got to get the gab. You can sell anything. Come and do mortgages. And I started doing mortgages. And then right away, that was when I ended up coaching high school hockey. So it was kind of a unique thing. I coached a couple years of high school, and then some other things opened up coaching U18 AAA. I was able to go down to Indianapolis, which is a lot of fun. And then, ultimately what really opened the door, and it's always something, and I always tell players this, you never know when that door is going to open. You really don't. And I'm sure you have your story about how you're here, and everybody's got a really unique story usually. But for me personally, I own a fireworks business. A lot of people know that. And I always bought my advertising, my signs during the summer from the captain of the Fort Wayne Comets, my local town team, Guy Dupuis. Just a solid human being, Guy was. And I was just thirsty. I knew I was getting good at this coaching thing, and I just want to keep learning more and more and more. And I knew that their championship head coach there, Al Sims, lived in Fort Wayne. And I asked Guy when he dropped my signs off, I said, hey, can you do me one favor? Can you talk to Al? I just would love to sit down and pick his brain over lunch. I just want to try to get some drills, see if he's got any books I can make copies of just to learn from. And that lunch meeting, it was at Chipotle by the Memorial Coliseum during a beautiful summer day. It ended up being the weirdest thing ever. Here I go sit down with this Hall of Fame guy. Again, he played with my favorite teams, Boston Bruins, Bobby Orr, legendary. He was Bobby Orr's D partner. Guy's coach in the NHL, again, Comet Hall of Fame guy. I'm a high school hockey coach, AAA coach. I'm a nobody, okay, absolutely nobody. And I sit down at this lunch, and here I'm supposed to be picking his brain, and Al starts asking me some very detailed questions, X's and O's and systems and stuff. And I think he just was trying to gauge, what I actually knew, and I hit a home run on every question, and I could tell I read body language for a living. I could tell like he was very taken away about how I was answering these questions with the details and stuff like that. And by the end of the lunch, he goes, "Well, I don't have an assistant coach. What do you think about being my assistant coach?" Now, mind you, this is like the Fort Wayne Comets, if you don't know, are like one of the major all minor league sports teams in North America. I mean, they lead the league in attendance every year. They have a long storied history. This is my hometown team. I couldn't believe that, he said that. And he goes, "I got to run it by management, make sure we could do this." Now, I am a business mind, and I'm thinking to myself, he's going to go pitch a guy like me that doesn't have any pro experience and probably going to say, "Hey, pay this guy 20, 30 grand or something to be an assistant coach." And the ownership's probably going to say, "No way." So this is what I always tell high school students when I go and talk to their classes. I literally said, "I tell you what, let me make it easy on you. I'm going to do the first year for free and show you how valuable I am." So that year I was coaching U18 AAA. I was an assistant coach with the Comets. I coached that year, I think, 160 games between both teams. And that's where really my career kind of took off from there.
How special is it whenever you go back to the Fort Wayne area?
Well, it's home for me. It's home. It's always been home, and I always wish them nothing but success. It's my old assistant coach, Olivier Legault, still the assistant coach there. Jesse Calicky, Corey Melkert, great guys. They're running the ship there. When I was let go and went over to China, my assistant coach, Bruce Boudreau's son, Ben Boudreau, took over. They won an ECHL championship the year of COVID. I'm very happy for all those guys, and it's my hometown team, so you want to always see them. I still follow them today, and we'll still talk to Legs about the team and stuff like that. So for me to coach there for 10 years, 4 years as an assistant, 6 as a head coach in my hometown was and we listen. When I took the team over, a lot of people don't realize this. When I took the team over in the ECHL the year before, they finished second to last. Okay. When I took the team over, we had no NHL affiliation. We were only one of two teams, us in Vegas, that had no NHL affiliation. And frankly, no players wanted to play in Fort Wayne because we weren't promoting guys to the next level. And that summer recruiting, first-year head coach, you're excited. You have no NHL affiliation to help you recruit. You finished second, dead to last almost. And so it was very challenging recruiting that first summer. But, we got the right guys in there eventually. We had a slow start. Ownership stuck with me. The second half of the season, we were one of the top 3 teams in the league. We made a playoff push, made the playoffs, and as an 8 seed, we were the first team to ever upset a number 1 seed in like 27 years of the ECHL history, and they were the defending champs. We almost swept them Reading. We beat them 4-1, and then lost in the second round of Cincinnati that ended up going to the finals that year. But and then from there, it was easier to recruit after that because then we started building the product up. So each year we got better players, and the closest we got was in the Final Four. 2 of my 6 years, we made it to the Western Conference Finals. Most of the time, we made it to the second round, except my last year. We got bumped in the first round to a very good Toledo team that ended up losing in the finals that year. But great time. Thank the Frankies. The Frankies I owe a lot to. Bob Chase, the legendary guy, just like you will be one day. This guy called more games than you can imagine. He's like you. He knows every single sport guy. He could tell you who scored the Comet game-winning goal in 1967, just like he's an elephant brain, just remembers everything. But he really helped me, as well as the Franke family, kind of really get my pro start.
Wow, yeah, what a story. And then after Fort Wayne, head to Pensacola, and then that morphed into coming to the PD. How did that play itself out from your time ending in Pensacola to you now in the PD?
Well, call a spade a spade. I mean, last year, was a tough year for me. I mean, it was a tough year for Pensacola fans, the fan base, ownership, everybody. I mean, honestly, and I stand by this, I felt like I recruited the very best team during the summer last year for the SPHL. Basically, I over-recruited, and recruiting's never been a problem for me. But, I might have swung too far for the fences in terms of signing maybe too high end of a guys because we dealt with just an unprecedented amount of call-ups, which I'm extremely happy for all those guys. And really, if you look at all those guys, the most rewarding thing in the SPHL is the majority of time guys will go up, get called up, and you end up getting them back, okay? not only did our guys go up early, but they stayed up the entire season. They actually outcompeted contract players to stick around those rosters, which
That's incredible.
makes you incredibly proud as a coach, but it also leaves you very challenged as a head coach, okay? Yeah. So you have this vision. You put this plan together. You work tirelessly during the summer to recruit this team that you're expecting. You know, you're going to have the two best tough guys in the league, and Golka and Kobe Johnson. You got Tyler Adams, a big left wing power winger that's going to be on that third line. It's going to be the toughest, nastiest. You know, Tyler Adams gets hurt in training camp. Golka breaks his ankle in training camp. As soon as he comes back, he gets called up. Kobe Johnson gets called up 2 weeks in the season. There's that whole third line gone. You know, you trade for Cam Cook. You know, he not only goes up, but he excels. He does great, and is so happy for Cookie. But again, you know, goes up. Shane Bull goes up. You know, C.J. Hayes, our top scoring right winger we brought in, goes up. So, you know, it was very challenging the whole year. It seemed like every week we were challenged with a different roster. And I don't think what the fans understand is, you know, I expect the fans to be mad at me. You know, we have to own that as coaches, right? But what frustrated me was the level that the players endured, you know, from some of the stuff I'd see on social media and some of the stuff that would get said about the players. Because I'll tell you this, that group of players last year was the hardest working. They worked so hard,
Wow.
Danny and Jim, so hard in practice. And it was just so frustrating to not see them get the results on some nights, you know, and put the work in all week. And you know, sometimes that just breaks your heart as a coach because it's not about me. It's about the guys. And you know, I was hoping when my buddy Rod came in and took over that maybe something could happen for him and they could make the playoffs, but it wasn't meant to be. So here I am. You know, it's a great opportunity. Nick Graham Parker gave me a call. I was hesitant to take the job. I thought I was so upset about what happened to me in Pensacola. I thought I was going to take a year off. I had some stuff over in Europe that was available, but you know, this opportunity was interesting to me because I really think our league is going somewhere. I think you're seeing really good players. Last year it started. You know, we had Garrett Milan, Malik Johnson do great that came from Pensacola. You see a lot of other guys. You have Justin McDonald from Knoxville down to Columbus. You see just a lot of guys now that are transferring into this league, and the product's getting better. I think the ownership is getting more serious around the league. You're starting to see some better arenas, hence what's behind us right now. And so I really feel like this could be a competing product, kind of like when I was in the Central Hockey League, when we were a double-A league and you had the ECHL. So, you know, when Al and I would recruit during the summer for when we were in the Central League, we're competing against, you know, for players with the ECHL. And that's pretty much what's going on now is, you know, there's only so many players, Danny. And so now we're in recruiting battles, you know, with the other single-A league. And I think it's making both leagues step their game up. And ultimately, usually the players, and just like anything, will end up benefiting for this because the organizations are going to try to get better in everything they do, from housing to what they can offer with the booster club to what they can offer for meal deals, to make that incentivized thing out there for that player to choose us instead of going maybe somewhere else.
Speaking about choosing us, what led you to choose us in the PD? What was the typifying point for Gary Graham?
It's a good question. I mean, I really liked. So my initial reserve first was, before I knew anything about Parker, was just it being a first-year team, and am I going to have the tools and resources to be successful? And the next thing too is that, you know, I had the blessing of my owner, and he's an awesome owner, incredible owner, and Greg Harris, to kind of rebuild the team. We knew we had to rebuild the team last summer. And, you know, we knew that there was, you know, some things that could be out of our control if we recruited really, really high-end younger talent, that we could deal with call-ups. We never expected the amount that had happened last year. But, you know, getting fired from a place that I love in Pensacola because basically we recruited too good of a players didn't sit well with me, okay? And then another situation that happened was when I took over Nottingham. When I went over to England, they were one of the last-place teams, and you know, it was tough recruiting that summer because of the results that they had. And the expectation, you know, right away was just unrealistic. I mean, it was just unrealistic. I mean, they hired me from being in Fort Wayne and stuff, and we had great winning records and deep playoff runs every year. But, you know, it's very hard to take a team from there to winning a championship right away. I mean, you need 2, 3, 4 months. You got to get chemistry. You got to get guys blending together. And so, my whole thing was like, I just want to make sure that I had at least a 2-year deal, 3-year deal to actually build it up and do it right. I want to have the confidence to say, hey, listen, like there's going to be growing pains. We're going to find guys that we like early on. We might find guys that we got to move on from. I need the confidence and trust from you guys to do what's right for the organization in the big picture, because we're trying to not just build this thing for this year. We're trying to build this thing into a contender year after year after year. And so, I just want to make sure that was something that was important to me. If I made a commitment to come down here, and Parker gave me that, my contract, and compensated me well, and I'm very excited to work my tail off for him.
Very excited to work his tail off for the PD IceCats, and a whole lot still on the road. And a lot of people to thank along the way, and I'm sure you'll have that too, as we look at some of our corporate partners that make the PD IceCats possible here this evening. We do want to thank many of them, including Gorget Distilling, as one of our key partners with the PD IceCats. And a look at Gorget is this. Presented by Gorget Distilling Company. Proudly made in Hartsville, South Carolina. Whether you're tuning in for hockey talk or gearing up for game night, enjoy a locally crafted spirit from Gorget. From smooth vodkas to bold bourbons, every bottle is made with true Carolina pride. Visit GorgetDistilling.com or stop by the distillery to experience authentic South Carolina flavor. Gorget Distilling, South Carolina made, Southern prepared. Also, presented by Southern Co., your trusted local partner for construction and development in the PD. From commercial projects to custom builds, Southco delivers quality, integrity, and craftsmanship every step of the way. Proud to support your PD IceCats, Southco is building a stronger community, one project at a time. And by Pepsi of Florence, proudly refreshing the PD and fueling the hometown IceCats. Whether you're at the Florence Center or cheering from home, nothing hits the spot like the crisp, cool taste of an ice-cold Pepsi. Pepsi of Florence, keeping IceCat fans refreshed all season long. Pepsi, born in the Carolinas, raised by fans. And by Tomlinson Sales Company, proudly serving the PD since 1946. From janitorial and industrial supplies to safety and maintenance solutions, Tomlinson Sales Company has everything businesses need to keep running smoothly. They're a proud sponsor of your PD IceCats and the entire PD community. Tomlinson Sales Company, serving the Carolinas with pride since 1946. And by Hertz Car Rentals, serving the region of Florence, your hometown car rental headquarters. Whether you're traveling for business, heading out on a family trip, or need a reliable ride while yours is in the shop, Hertz of Florence has you covered. With a wide variety of vehicles and friendly local service, they'll get you where you need to go, fast and hassle-free. Hertz of Florence. Let's go! And also by IceCats merchandise. Show off your pride, IceCats Nation. Official PD IceCats merchandise is on sale now, featuring jerseys, hats, shirts, and more. Gear up for game day and represent your hometown team in style. Shop online at pdprohockey.com or grab your gear at the Florence Center. PD IceCats, your team, your gear, your pride. And by the PD IceCats and their next game on deck, PD IceCats hosting the Columbus River Dragons with puck drop scheduled at 7:15 at the Florence Center, and that only 4 days away. Head coach Gary Graham, when we look at what's on deck with a team that you've constructed, how did that process begin? New league, new rules that you had to implement. What did that look like when you set foot and accepted the job?
Well, I think, I looked at some film before we started identifying the Hudson Valley guys that we want to bring on. Obviously, we inherited a lot of that roster, and Nick Graham and I wanted to identify who we wanted from there, kind of what our vision was. He also told me, I asked right away, talk to me about our arena, talk to me about the rink dimensions, what type of a rink. And he told me the setup was going to kind of be similar like Knoxville or Roanoke. And what that means, if the listeners don't know, is their rinks are shaped very unique, where they're very small neutral zones. And one thing, if you look back there at that rink, you're going to see a very short neutral zone. And basically, whenever you play in a rink like that, you want to really, really get a very quick transition team because things are going to happen very quickly in this rink. So you're going to have to be able to skate because things are going to happen very quickly in here. So we want to make sure, number one, we had a lot of speed. And number two, we want to make sure that we had guys that could really, again, push the pace and play at the style that we wanted to, which is a very vertical, fast style so we can get on top of teams. And hopefully really, especially in our rink, we want to do the domination of puck possession. So puck possession is very important with what we're trying to do. So we want to try to identify that, obviously, with the guys that we had. You see the guys that are obviously that the fans know that are established in this league that have produced points. The Jassos, the Lords, the Eli Rivers last year. Nick Golo. There's guys that you go up and down that lineup. There's guys that have established production in this league that have played for different teams. But also, you got some guys that we brought in that we're very high on. The Markinshevich twins are obviously very creative, fast, shifty guys that have played at that next level, and they're very excited to be here, which is awesome. We brought a guy in from Europe, and Chancer, the fans are really going to like him. He's a big body. He's strong on the dot. He goes to the net hard, and we're really happy identifying some of these guys last year that could have possibly been overlooked maybe a little bit because they weren't maybe on the right team. But, Horn came in and Prexler's looked really good. And we brought a kid in last minute, and Alex Ray from King's College that looks very good. And, our D-core is solid. We got some very good older guys back there, some veteran guys back there, and some youth that we're really excited about too. I think, our goalie punch is going to be solid. We know that Moran's is up in Greensboro's camp, and we wish him all the best, just like I do with all my guys.
Yes.
Just like I did last year with all my guys. We had like 11 or 12 in ECHL camps in Pensacola, and so I'm never going to be a guy that's going to take those opportunities away from guys, like frankly some coaches do. I'm going to be a player first guy. I've always been that way with guys. Even we were always top 5 in ECHL most of our time for American League call-ups. So I want the best for these guys, and that's how they're going to play harder for you if you know they got their back. So, our goalie punch I think is really good. Obviously, Gonzo back there had a big year for Motor City, and really really high on Sales. Sales looked really good last week. Had some goalie of the week awards in a very good conference, D3 in Nazareth, and a very respectable conference. So we know that he's got a high upside too as well. So we're just really excited for everything across the board. Again for us. The challenge is, with not the ice being here yet, is doing that Columbia thing every day. But once again, the guys have just been, super happy to be here, and they're working their tails off. And, we're just excited to hopefully put a good product on the ice for the fans come Friday.
What is the nature, what's the personality of this team compared to all the other teams that you've coached?
That's hard to say early on right now. I have kind of a formula that we try to do. Sometimes that formula can get blown up. It kind of happened to me a little bit last year, like we talked about a little bit, or that third line mentality. But most of my teams have always had a very physical, tough presence to them. I've always believed in that. That's what we always had in Fort Wayne. I've always tried to bring that with us. Obviously, we have a guy like Bazarin that I think is one of the toughest guys in the league, and he'll be able to be out there and help kind of police things if we have to. Most people, I don't like goon hockey. I don't believe in it. I'll never coach it. If my guys act that way, they're going to be in serious trouble with me personally as well as the league. I like clean, hard-nosed physical hockey and guys sticking up for each other. And that could be the smallest guy on the ice sticking up for somebody. It's just when we get into a scrum, we scrum with 5 guys. We keep our gloves on. We back each other up, and it's a wolf pack mentality. We're going to have each other's back and back each other up. And, that type of mentality, when you see that as a fan and you watch guys, no matter how big or small they are, back each other up, that's when you know – you got something good, and that's when you know right away, especially with us. We got a lot of new guys that are getting to know each other, but if we see that happen on a Friday night, them already backing each other up like that, they're coming together quick off the ice. And I'll tell you, you win with teams, and I've been on a lot of winning teams. You win with teams that are tight off the ice. I can't tell you how closely they correlate. It's unreal watching a team that doesn't do things off the ice a lot together as a team and seeing how they play on the ice. It really means a lot. So I like the fact I'm hearing them go golf and they're going out to dinners together and they're going and watching football together right away because that's with so many different hodgepodge guys from different teams and different leagues and stuff. My job is to get them together on the ice as fast as possible, which is always challenging when you have this new coach, new guys, all this stuff. But is just getting them to play for one another. That's the name of the game, and that's where the chemistry comes from.
What have you liked out of this group so far? Although it's early, as you said, what are some of the indicators that you like about your side?
I think we have a lot of potential with our speed element. I really do. I think we could really cause some chaos with our speed, and that's the way we got to get them thinking. And sometimes, some of these guys come from systems where they're trying to slow it down and come back and get these swings going. And that's not a knock on whoever they played for before, but it's just not the way we're going to play. And, we want to play fast, straight line, very predictable, and really build speed and be able to work off of one another. So just getting everybody to buy into that and how we want to play, I think is very important. But watching them last week in training camp, Danny, start seeing, as we build up these drills and we build up that foundation on how we want to play, and then watch them do the things in practice, and pick up the stuff and then implement it right away. That's what you're trying to look for in training camp. We're all coaches at all levels, we're throwing a lot of information. A lot of it's new to players, okay? New terminology, new details, and they're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes in practice. That's where you want the mistakes to happen.
Yeah.
You get them corrected so they're dialed in for the games, and I think a lot of times guys early on, especially when they're trying to work for a new head coach, everybody wants to impress. A lot of times guys want to do everything by themselves and try to make themselves look like a hero. That's not the way you're going to stand out to me. You got to make players around you better. You got to work the give and goes. You got to be bought into that whole team, the whole line thing, the whole five guys connected mentality, and seeing the guys, slowly get better into that. And then hopefully tomorrow on the ice we start seeing it slowly get better, because we're going to see a team that's pretty connected in Columbus. Same coach, great coach. Jerome does a heck of a job. Coach that gets it back in 2012, my first year at Pensacola. His team's going to be ready. They got a lot of returners. They upset Athens last year. They got a very good goalie, 1-2 punch. So they'll come in. They'll be ready to go. We got to be ready to go.
A Columbus team that finished in third in the Continental Division standings, and they certainly made their way with that upset over Athens before falling to the then Carolina Thunderbirds. We'll talk more about that next week for our coaches show, but also as we take a look at the turnaround time. It's a quick change. You go from the first day of training camp being on the 1st of this month and the opening game of the year on the 10th. What challenge does that pose to you as a coach and a coaching staff with Nick Graham?
Well, we have to maximize pretty much everything we do. So like for instance, like a day like today, we have a great partner. You're going to see his logo on the ice out there. XGen Cryo, Orange Theory. Unbelievable partner right away. Shout out to George. Doing a great job. The coaches over there doing an unreal job. Check them out, everybody, on social media. Get over there. Make sure you try to cryo. Tell them Coach Graham sent you. Orange Theory workouts. The coaches kick your butt. Get over there. I'm telling you, it's hype over there. You want to check that out. But, we want to make sure we take advantage of the off-ice stuff. And I talked to a couple guys that have been in the league, and I'll just say, talked to Nick Gullo today and Lordo. And, they both recognize how great our gym setup is. We have McLeod over here, and then we also have George with X Cryo and Orange Theory. These are great tools to use as a team. So again, if we're not on the ice, we're going to be testing our bodies in the gym. Okay, like we want to be the most in shape, fast, conditioned team. I always challenge guys when I recruit them all summer long. I always say, make sure you're in shape for training camp. Don't use training camp to get into shape. You see the difference, Danny? Because you take care of your body because you're a tennis player, okay? So you get it. So we got to remind these guys that, their body and what they do, away from the rink is just as important as what they do with their body on the rink. So, I think that's going to be a real ace in the hole for us, that partnership with those places. And so back to your original question is that if we're not on the ice, we also got to get in a film room. So, again, this morning we didn't have ice, so an extended video session, and then going over stuff that we're going to be working on practice, making sure everybody's on the same page. Got some new players in that missed the video last week, so got those new players, leg row legs, and Baz up to date on that. I think Horner might have missed that one too, so he got in on that video. So just want to make sure that we put the guys in a situation when we hit the ice tomorrow that everybody has seen it on video, and then it helps me to make sure that I can utilize all the ice time as appropriately and as effectively as possible.
It'll be important to dial all that together in order to make things possible. But making the IceCats possible, a lot of our partners, and we look to highlight them in just a moment, as we do want to thank our proud partner in Pepsi, a proud sponsor of the PD IceCats, as they have been they've done a tremendous job into making this possible, as they are proudly refreshing the PD and fueling your hometown IceCats. Whether you're at the Florence Center or cheering from home, nothing hits the spot like the crisp, cool taste of an ice-cold Pepsi. And by Palmetto Smiles. In the heart of Florence, South Carolina, discover Palmetto Smiles, where artistry meets advanced dental care, led by Dr. Brian Sang. Dr. Sang is a highly trained implant and cosmetic dentist dedicated to transforming smiles with advanced techniques. He's committed to continuing education and bringing the latest methods to every patient. At Palmetto Smiles, comprehensive dentistry is under one roof. General care, restorative solutions, TMJ therapy delivered with compassion. Ready for a healthier, more beautiful smile. Call 843-203-5155 or visit palmettosmiles.com. Dr. Brian Sang and his team can't wait to welcome you. And also by Margaritas and their restaurant not too far away from the arena. Great place to eat, Gary.
I can't wait to go. Honestly, I just haven't had time to get over there, but I cannot wait to try the fajitas.
Yes, it's presented in one of our proud sponsors, your go-to spot for delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and good times in Florence. Enjoy your favorite Mexican dishes and a refreshing margarita. Perfect before or after IceCats hockey. Margarita's Restaurant. Great food, great flavor, and great times. And by Creekside Apartments, offering comfortable living and modern amenities right here in Florence. Whether you're new to the area or looking for your next home, Creekside Apartments has you covered. Proud to call the PD home and proud to support your PD IceCats. Creekside Apartments. Live local. Live Creekside. And by Southco. Southco, your trusted local partner for construction and development in the PD. From commercial projects to custom builds, Southco delivers quality, integrity, and craftsmanship every step of the way. Proud to support your PD IceCats. Southco is building a stronger community, one project at a time. Southco, build on quality, driven by pride. And by Tomlinson, proud sponsor of the PD IceCats. Proudly serving the PD since 1946. From janitorial and industrial supplies to safety and maintenance solutions, Tomlinson Sales Company has everything businesses need to keep running smoothly. They're a proud supporter of your PD IceCats and the entire PD community. Tomlinson Sales Company, serving the Carolinas with pride since 1946. And PD IceCat tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a minute of the action. Be there at the Florence Center for all the hits, goals, and excitement as your PD IceCats hit the ice for their inaugural season. Get your tickets today at pdprohockey.com or on Ticketmaster, or email tickets@pdprohockey.com. But as we take a look at fans purchasing their tickets, a look ahead into Columbus. We touched on it briefly. What challenges with the puck drop scheduled at 7:15 from the Florence Center? 18 years of hockey not being in the PD. That comes to an end at 7:15. What a special night that will be, Gary. Well, first there's the X's and O's, but the community itself, how important is this for them?
Yeah, I mean, you can hear it. It's palpable. You know, you go around town. Just before I came here, I went to the gas station to get a protein shake. She seen the shirt right away. She goes, "Oh, you're with the hockey team." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You coming to the game Friday, girl?" And she's all pumped up. She's like, "I'm going to try to get there." You know, and every single person, you know, that sees us out in the community and they know that we're with the team, you know, they're excited. Of course, you just find some random people that, you know, you tell me with the hockey team, like, "I didn't know hockey's back in town." And I was like, "Well, you got to get up underneath that rock that you're living under because you got to get over the Civic Center, you know?"
Yeah.
And you got to check us out. And everybody's really excited. So, you know, the players, too, as they've been out kind of getting around town, they've been giving me the feedback, too. I mean, there's really a lot of excitement brewing on this. And that's kudos to the people. I just moved down here about a week or so ago. So, but Nick Graham a little bit, but really Scott and Phil and the guys that have been really boots on the ground. Yourself, everybody that's really been around here all summer long has helped. Selling corporate, selling tickets. Just every time that you guys go out to the community things. That stuff matters, just like the Heart Walk that we all went and did on Saturday. So, for everybody watching, we want to be a part of the community. It's, when you see us out in town, come up and introduce yourself. And, the players, all of us want to get ingrained in the community. So, as the season goes, we'll be getting out and doing school visits and all kinds of fun stuff. So that's the exciting thing, and then back to the competitive side of things, you asked about Columbus. They're a bigger team. I think in terms of the matchups, I think they'll have some size on us, especially with their forward group and really probably broadly across their D-core. But again, when you play teams like that, you really want to force them on their heels. And I think we have the speed and the type of team to do that. But it's going to mean taking care of the puck. It's going to mean making sure that we get in behind them. Whether we see Babin or Green, I'm sure most likely we'll see Babs. I'm a big fan of him. I brought him into Pensacola's camp. Great kid, competes hard. So he'll make sure I'm sure he's going to be dialed in. So we got to get pucks in the net. We got to make it hard and difficult on him and try to get him out of his game early on right away. But anytime you play a 2-game set against a team, it's going to be a war, and the fans can expect it.
And it factors to be a war against a team in Columbus that has been stout for many years, including winning a league championship several years ago. So a team with that championship pedigree poses a tough test for the Dee IceCats, and we'll see some of the key star players. And if someone's coming in from the blank and they're trying to get involved with the game, who are some of the players to put your eye on for the IceCats this year?
Well, that's a loaded question, so I'm not going to go there. But I'll tell you this. I feel like every single guy is here for a reason. I think everybody's going to play an integral part to what we do right out of the gate here. And we will probably have a guy or two that's a healthy scratch in the stands. But even those players are competing their tails off and trying to get in that lineup. So, honestly, I think the fans should just get to know every player because I think every player is going to be very exciting. And every player, the best thing is the guys really want to be here, and that was for me and Nick recruiting a team during the summer is like, we really want to build something, but it's like, when I'm recruiting in these previous teams I've been in, it's a lot of times like you're recruiting a guy, he's happy to be there, but he's kind of always like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where the grass is greener, whereas like what we really want to do is we want to try to build this thing and really try to get a core group of guys out of this thing and really build it up and get them ingrained. And hopefully they have a great experience, Danny. And then they want to come back next year. And that's when the fans, they're excited about their favorite player coming back. And that's when you wear that same jersey and he's back in there opening night next year. So that was what we were really trying to do. And whether or not that happens or not, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and next year, of who comes back or whatever happens. But the type of player that we recruited was really with that mindset, guys that really want to be here and help us, from me to Nick to the front office to the ownership to the community to all of our sponsors to really build this thing and try to make it work as well as possible in year one.
And speaking of year one, a look at that league and with the schedule that the IceCats have, 54 of 56 regular season games are against playoff teams from last season. So this schedule, one of the toughest in the league. How will the IceCats handle that coming into this year?
It's not one. It is the toughest schedule in the league. But I'll tell you what, I love it. And I think it actually helped me recruit guys during the summer because guys want to compete. That's their natural thing. They don't want to play in 9-0 games or 6-0 games or 7-6 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to compete, and they want to compete against the best. And that's how you're able to recruit the best guys. So, to me, I actually used it. I think it's, when I see the schedule, it's a benefit to recruiting because the best players want to come and they want to compete against the best. I think, Lord and Jasso and some of these guys in Eli that have put up points in the North Division, I think they're sick and tired of hearing about how the North Division's easy to get points in. I think they're chomping at the bit to come down into the South and do some damage and produce and prove everybody wrong. I really feel that. So, I think guys are really excited to play, and I feel it's the toughest division in the FPHL.
And there's a lot involved in that division. Some of the opponents that are on that schedule, you have a Blue Ridge team that has been solid for plenty of years. And also with Columbus, obviously, Athens in their second season, they seem to show quite a bit of promise. And the schedule also includes teams from that Empire division. Blue Ridge is included in that list. But
I was going to correct you, but you corrected yourself on
yes,
it.
yes.
Because you know what? When I first started thinking about it early on, I thought that they were in our division too, and so I started looking at things. But that just goes to show you, and I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
no, you're okay.
If you look at the games out of the division, again, we play Bingo, we play Danbury, and we play Blue Ridge. So, again, like you said, all quality teams besides the majority of the games that we play against Carolina, Columbus, Athens. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's a great schedule for us to be competitive. We're going to get challenged every night, which is exactly what we need.
And we'll look at that schedule. Binghamton, a team that has won the Federal Prospects Hockey League Championship the last 2 seasons in a row, and last year may have been one of the finest in FPHL history. Danbury, second in the Empire Division. They had a stout season. They look to repeat things again with another strong year. And then a Blue Ridge team that has been a tough out. They even beat Binghamton in one of their few losses last season. So the Empire teams in the schedule, they're no easy out, but then there's also another team, the Twin City Thunderbirds. They changed their name from Carolina to Twin City. They pose a tough test, too. That'll be the first road trip of the year.
Oh, yeah. You know, their coach, Harry's a good buddy of mine. I coached his son, Andrew. Great guy. What a great human being Harry is. And he's done just a great job there. And I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does there. Yes, it's a great spot there. They're able to recruit very good players because it is a great spot. But he has really done a great job there. And, you know, kudos to Schurzy up there in Binghamton. You know, I had him in my camp a couple years. Know him very well. Very happy for all the success that he's had up there. Happy to see a former player of mine, a Captain Bondarenko, sign up there. He's going to love it up there. He's going to love playing for a guy like Schurzy. So, yeah, I mean, very good organization. But, again, we want to go up there. We get to go up there and play on the road. And I'm excited because I've coached in a lot of rinks in my career, but I've never been into that rink. So that one is circled on my calendar. It's actually my birthday weekend, too. So I'm really excited to go up there in January to play a very good hockey team in a really cool barn in front of a hostile crowd. I think in that moment in the season, it'll be a really good test for us.
And what is an 11-hour road trip, and it should be quite the test against
we have a private flight. We're going on that one. Did you hear?
Oh, we are?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, got my hopes up a little bit. Threw me off there, Gary. Private flight.
Dream on, buddy.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, also, a look at the schedule. Sure, you got the trip up to Binghamton. That's one aspect. But as far as, sure, toughest schedule in the league, but travel-wise, seems to be the most friendly.
Absolutely. And again, you know, I think it reminds me like Fort Wayne was kind of like that thing too. Is we had a really good geographic map in our division where it's like basically wheeling. Everything was within 5 hours. That's pretty much where we're at here.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much everything's within 5 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. So we get to get in our own beds a lot of times, you know, at that same night, which is nice because it's a long season. That extra rest can really help you. And as long as you take advantage of it, right, with recovery and stuff like that. So you bring up a very valid point. And, you know, back to that Carolina thing where we were talking about, you know, I know I've seen some things online about some of their fans. I personally like their rebrand. I think their logo is pretty sick, actually. I think they did a very good job with it, so kudos to the president and everybody. I mean, they got put in a tough spot there with the whole having a rebrand, whatever the heck the story was. But that's never easy to do. So I think the logo is pretty sweet, and I'm sure we're going to develop a good rivalry. You know, the teams of the Carolinas. So I'm sure, you know. And the nice thing about Harry is, you know, his teams play hard, but he's never had dirty teams. You know what I'm saying? So he runs a very respectable program. He's just hard, heavy. You know, you're going to get a good, honest game from his team. So it'll be a good rivalry.
And then another game, a hot topic on the schedule. It's later in the year, but certainly one with interesting intrigue. Monroe coming to town for a 2-game series near the end of March. How special will that be for so many different aspects?
Well, if our owner Parker's playing, you don't know this, but I'm signing you. You're going to be a celebrity signing.
Okay, I'll be there. I'll be ready.
You're actually going to line up against them for the opening draw.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be ready.
So just be ready for that. Now we'll see how the season goes, but that could get interesting, and it could. I think it's going to sell a lot of tickets if that ends up happening. So we're going to try to do that. So, but listen, that's far down the road. I think they've done a very good job. They've built a heck of a team. I'm very familiar with a lot of their free agent signings with their guys over there. And again, kudos to Monroe. I mean, look at the fan support last year. First-year team. I mean, they really set the stage, and PD, this is where we got to beat them. This is where the community's got to come out. Okay, we got to show the Louisiana folk that SoCo here, South Carolina, we can do it better than those guys. So I think we're going to be challenged as a community. I think let's take it up for the community, Dan. Let's really get them hyped to try to beat that Monroe attendance thing last year as a first-year team. So I think this is more of a hockey state.
Hey, we'll see if the PD is that hockey state, and I have a sense. It's going to happen.
I got a very good sense it's going to happen.
With how much of a response from the community. Well, we'll talk about that community in just a moment, but we do want to thank some of our proud partners for the PD IceCats, and it begins with Demismo Ristorante Italiano, a popular restaurant specializing in Italian fare homemade pasta, plus wine and beer on 821 South Irby Street in Florence. And who doesn't like great Italian food here, Gary?
That one I need to get from you. That one I need. I've been listening to these sponsors, and thanks to all the sponsors too. By the way, we us and the players, we really look forward to getting to know all you guys and bringing some business into you guys, and it'll be good. But yes, that's the boys. Hockey players love pasta. They're looking for healthy foods a lot of times, and who doesn't love a good pasta? Hockey players love pasta.
Looks like we might have to go after this.
I'm thinking I'm going to bed early because I have to go to Columbia tomorrow morning, but I will take you out another night, my friend.
We'll do that sometime.
Yes.
Maybe during one of our coaches' shows, we go.
That's fine.
That's certainly an idea.
As long as I'm not driving to Columbia the next morning. Next week. We'll have ice here.
We'll do that. And some more proud partners of the PD IceCats includes Aloha Kitchen, a proud sponsor of the PD IceCats, as they have been serving up island-inspired flavor right here in Florence. From poke bowls to teriyaki plates, every dish brings a taste of Hawaii to the PD. Stop by Aloha Kitchen and fuel up like a pro. Fresh, fast, and full of flavor. Aloha Kitchen. Eat fresh, live aloha. Have you been to Aloha?
No, I got to look at the menu. That's interesting. Was that you say poke bowls?
Poke? I think it's called poke.
Poke bowls? Yeah.
Now, don't ask me what's in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But great poke bowls. We might have to add that as one of our stops along the way.
I'm sure they're all going to get checked off the list here.
We will certainly do that when that time comes across. Another proud sponsor of the PD IceCats includes Kona Ice, bringing the taste of the tropics. We're staying on that topic here, Gary, to the PD. Cool off and enjoy the fun with Kona Ice's famous shaved ice truck, serving up sweet flavors and smiles all over the community. Book Kona Ice for your next event or look for them outside the Florence Center on game nights. And another one of our proud partners, that being In Hertz Car Rentals. Your hometown car rental headquarters, whether you're traveling for business, heading out on a family trip, or need a reliable ride while yours is in the shop, Hertz of Florence has you covered. With a wide selection of vehicles, friendly local service, they'll get you where you need to go. Another one of our proud partners for the PD IceCats includes Tomlinson. And Tomlinson doing its role as a sales company serving the PD since 1946. From janitorial and industrial supplies to safety and maintenance solutions, Tomlinson Sales Company has everything businesses need to keep running smoothly. They're a proud supporter of your PD IceCats and the entire PD community. Tomlinson Sales Company, serving the Carolinas with pride since 1946. But that gazes the focus yet again to the next game for the PD IceCats, Friday, 7:15, against the Columbus River Dragons on a special night for the community of the PD, and it's one that's well documented with the fanfare with the PD Pride was here during the East Coast Hockey League days, and the Cyclones for a short stint, and then 18 years of how hockey, and that leads us to where we are today, 18 years removed from hockey in Florence. How special is this for the community in 4 days, Gary?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, obviously, we've been hearing and talking about, obviously, everybody talking about it, but getting in and experiencing it is going to be a lot different. I've talked to a lot of people. Some people say, okay, well, hockey's back. This is a level below the ECHL, so what the level of hockey going to be like? Well, what a lot of people don't realize, and this is somebody that's been coaching 22 years, the hockey's a lot better across the board now than it was then, okay?
Yeah.
And that's across all levels, okay? So I really feel like the brand of product is going to be very good for the fans. They're going to be very surprised about what the brand of hockey looks like. And, again, it's going to be physical. It's going to be entertaining. And so, once those fans get in here, I think the word-of-mouth advertising for us is going to be really good. Because once the fans come in here, and, everybody's on their phones all the time, Danny, and they're going to be taking videos of that goal, that first goal, and fights or whatever happens and big hits, and they're going to be posting it on their social media page, and all their friends are going to be seeing it, and they're going to be seeing the crowd and all the hypeness, and they're going to say, what did I do on Friday night in Florence? I mean, I didn't do really anything. And they're going to say, why wasn't I at the game? Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen, I think. So, again, once this thing gets going, I really feel like it's going to be a big snowball running down the hill.
A big snowball running downhill, and for that snowball effect with the speed of the PD IceCats, what is the personality for this PD IceCats team that they'll see out on the ice compared to off of it?
You like the movie Top Gun?
Yep.
Okay, so we're turn and burn. We got the afterburners, baby. So that's we're gonna be built for speed. We're gonna practice that way all year, and my goal is to be the fastest, quickest team ever assembled in this league, and we just gotta get everybody up to that and get it playing like that in harmony. Sometimes that could be a challenge with certain guys' habits, and you got to kind of work with them and give them time to kind of figure it out and play a certain way. But I really feel like for everything to work and gel the way the team is built, I really feel like that is going to be really the big-time core of our identity. And that even includes our defense. We have some very good defensemen that can bring it offensively, jump up into play, help us also generate offensively from the blue line as well. So, I mean, that's really what we want to do. We want to be a disciplined team. I think the biggest thing, too, is you're not going to win a lot of hockey games from the penalty box. And, we got to make sure that, we have certain guys that we really are going to lean on that have in the past maybe had some penalty problems. And we need to make sure that they understand that, that hurts us, okay? We do not need that. And so, we're going to hold the group accountable to that. There's a time and a place to take a penalty, Danny.
Yeah.
There's good penalties to take in the course of a game. But, if we're in shape, if we're conditioned well, they're going to go more this year for the fans. They're going really more to the NHL standard. So that's something that we're going to talk about in a meeting with my guys this week, having a coaches meeting with the head of officiating, Paul Jean, and stuff, just for the fans. And, again, I know a lot of fans are new to this league. But in the past, they've really allowed a lot of, hacks to the hands and hooks to the hands, okay? Yeah. Which, of course, every league they're trying to get more offense out of, right? They feel like offense is what the fans want to see, right, for the most part. So, when you're having skill guys get chopped from behind and hooked from behind, and it's slowing them down, it's slowing the ability to play that beautiful puck possession game that really every fan wants to watch. It bogs the game down. So they're really going to start calling that more. So I think there's going to be some growing pains with every weekend series. That first weekend, guys getting used to it, especially guys that played in this league, because some of them have been used to getting away with certain things, and it's going to get called. So that this opening weekend, there's probably going to be more penalties called. I would imagine more so than normal with that just in mind. So I think in practice, we got to make sure the video and our reps with our special teams, I think that's going to be a big decisive a big key, basically, to winning games this weekend is going to be who wins the special teams battle against Columbus.
Speaking of special teams, what is your mindset as a coach, whether it's power play when you do have that man advantage or the penalty kill when you're a man down with a penalty taken by your team?
Well, we want to have an aggressive mindset actually on both. We want to have an aggressive mindset on the penalty kill. I mean, we want to try, again, make them uncomfortable. Even though you're down a man, your job is still not to make it easy on them, and we want to be aggressive in that situation. I'd like to see us, I think for us, with the type of personnel we have, is we have a lot of guys, I think, early on, and I've seen a little bit last week at practice, is that we need guys to shoot the puck, okay?
Yeah.
We have a lot of talented offensive guys, but not everybody needs to be a passer. Ultimately, the puck has got to get to the net one way or the other, and we got to get bodies to the net. It doesn't matter who you are, what system you're running. Ultimately, it's always pucks and bodies towards the net. So with that power play, especially early on, what I always try to tell my guys is until the chemistry gets there, it's actually better to have everything really simplified, okay? Yeah, because what happens is with special teams, and any coach will tell you this, are very streaky, okay? When you get on a hot one on the power play, you can ride that thing. And I've been on teams where we've rolled it a long time, okay? And then you get the laws, and you've got to refigure it out and stuff like that. Same thing with the penalty kill. But when you have so many new guys that aren't used to playing with each other, they only have so many practices to gel. Yep. Realistically, trying to make the perfect, pretty 3 passes on a power play is not probably the ideal thing early on in the season. Now, once you start getting confidence going, you start scoring some greasy ones, and you're shooting the puck. When you shoot the puck a lot, there's loose pucks, and when those loose pucks go into the corners and we retrieve them, a lot of times the penalty kill will get out of their shape. They'll get running around a little bit, and so essentially what happens is that shot on net that might not be the most high percentage one creates this loose puck scenario where it gets the killers to run, and when we get first touch on that, something even better opens up because you get them scrambling because they're trying to chase that puck. So, it's not a bad thing to have that shooter mentality early on in the season. And once the guys get more familiar with what we're doing and they get more comfortable playing with each other, then you're going to see really the creativity usually starts expanding, and they start kind of knowing blindly where they're going to be because they now have those game reps and stuff like that. So that's something that we'll challenge the group with this week in special teams practice is just trying to get in those habits in practice early.
That team chemistry goes a long way, and it all begins with opening night. And for our new fans, as they experience maybe their first time watching hockey ever in their lives, what are some of the things that, say, if there was some homework for our fans to take in, what are some things to watch for on Friday and Saturday night?
Well, that's a good question. I think if you don't, obviously come in with an understanding of the rules. Basically offsides and icing are probably the two most. If you're not really into hockey, you could come out here and wonder what offsides and icing is. Those are two primarily those things. So try to get a little educated on that so you kind of watch the flow of the game. But one thing the fans will notice, again, we talked about, Danny, the rink dimensions.
Yes.
Because things are going to happen very fast. The puck in this rink is going to move very fast, up and down, side to side with the rink dimensions. So make sure you're sharp, you're focused, because that puck is going to be moving very fast. So make sure you're dialed in, and I always tell, just like if you're at a baseball game and you're sitting down that third baseline, we have netting around there, but pucks do go up in the stands, and so make sure you're watching the game at all times.
Make sure you're paying attention to the ice surface. You never know what might be coming your way. Maybe even a stick. Never know.
It could be randomly. Hopefully, it's not a player doing that. If he is, he's in big trouble with the league. He's going to be suspended and fined big time. But that's another thing.
What is one of the wildest things you've seen during your 22 years of being a coach?
Oh man.
He's jogging through memory banks.
I one time in Cincinnati, I got kicked out of a game coaching because one of my guys got his stick chopped in half behind our goal line, a defenseman. So he gets chopped, the stick breaks in half. Cincinnati, of course, gets the puck. They move it to a slot guy, bang. It's like a go-ahead goal, like in a very important game type of thing. And the player's mad as heck, and he brings the stick off. It's in 2 pieces, and I say, I'm fuming. I go, give me that stick. I said, I have both pieces. And so I stand on the edge, and I'm telling the captain to bring the referee over. And the referee comes over, and he knows I'm hot. But as I'm giving him the business, I'm holding these 2 pieces of stick in my hands, and I am fuming. And I can get pretty intense. And I'm like, didn't you see? Just everything you can see. And he kicked me out of the game because he told me he thought I was going to actually stab him with the stick. He thought I was threatening his life. Like I was going to actually hit him with these nunchucks basically in my hands. And I got kicked out of that game, and we didn't have an assistant coach on the bench. Which was not good. So here I am, like trying to somehow get messages to the bench. I'm trying to like walk around, and try to yell down the hallway to something. So that was an interesting one. But there's a lot, we have a lot of these. I'll come up with some other ones too for you that we can actually talk about on air.
Yes, we'll do that. We'll be on same time.
There's a lot that we cannot talk about.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
But that'll be for another time and place. But as we do wind our way towards the finish, we will be on next week, same time, same channel, and we'll be on our affiliates on the IceCats broadcast network on YouTube and locally on radio as we wind our way to the finish. But as we look ahead on Friday night, 7:15, and on Saturday, same time, same channel here on the IceCats Broadcast Network. We'll be coming to you live right here from the Florence Center in the return of hockey to the PD. Tickets are on sale now. If you want to avoid the Ticketmaster fees, no one likes fees, Gary.
No, I hate them.
Well, if you want to avoid the fees, the will call for the Florence Center is open starting at 2 o'clock on Friday, and it'll be open all the way up to puck drop here from the Florence Center in what should be one special night. Coach, I'll give you the final word. What are we going to expect on Friday night?
Well, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. You know, I think both teams are going to be very excited. I think this whole league has gotten better. Every team has really looked to try to upgrade their player personnel and stuff. So, you know, I just think it's going to be exciting around the league, not just in this rink, but, you know, a lot of different matchups. You know, there's obviously a few new teams, Topeka, Indiana, and us in the league. So a lot of new storylines for the fans, and I think that's always cool. You know, new coaches, new teams, you got new player personnel. I think the league across the board, across every team has upgraded their rosters. So, you know, I think, again, it's not only going to be fun for the fans to, you know, get here and start watching these games, but also to follow the other games, too, around the league and really just not only get immersed in IceCat hockey here, but really get a feel for our whole league. And I think that's the one thing. You create a fan by getting them immersed, not only just in the PD IceCats, but just getting them fully immersed into watching us in the standings, compete against this team, and how big the games are. So, you know, I think those things are a lot of fun for the fans if they really start getting into it. And like I said before, Danny, you know, me and the players and in the front office, all you guys, you know, we really do want to get to know all of our sponsors and our fans, our season ticket holders. I think tomorrow night, right, we have a season ticket pickup, so we'll start to get to maybe some of you guys. I'll get to meet you personally that's watching out there. But, you know, again, if you have questions, you see me out in the community, you know, I can't tell you I'll have the right answer for you all the time, depending on what you're asking me. But, you know, always feel comfortable, come up and talk to the coach, talk to the players. And, you know, we're here for the community. We're here to entertain, and we don't forget that.
We will not forget that, and that our season ticket pickup tomorrow, 5 to 7 at Staybridge Hotels. Special thank you to them for making all that possible. And also a special thank you to everyone who makes this Coach's Show possible. Special thank you to our producer, Aiden Mulholland, pushing the buttons for us tonight, and especially for head coach Gary Graham for being here.
I'd like to say one thing. Aiden, great job. I want to ask you a question. Was this your first Coach's Show you've ever done?
First for hockey.
First for hockey. To everybody, I decided, check out Danny. This guy, you're going to be so excited to hear him. I decided, I haven't told him this, I looked up his YouTube film to see how good of an announcer we actually have. And I was watching your stuff, calling some football games up in Seattle. This kid is good, okay? He is very good. So I think we're very blessed to have him. I'm happy to work with you. All the best to you, too.
Thank you, Gary. All the best to you. This season coming up on Friday and Saturday, 7:15. We'll be with you on the IceCats Broadcast Network. That's all the time we have tonight from the Florence Center. For Aiden Mulholland and for head coach Gary Graham, I'm Danny DeBock saying so long and take care. We'll see you Friday night from the Florence Center on One Historic Evening.